All right, we're live. Episode number 24, For the Train Wreck, the show where we help you guys avoid making a train wreck out of your life. Sean, how you doing?
Good, Rich.
Welcome back. Welcome back indeed. All right, now I've got these things coming out as podcasts. So just a reminder, if you guys are more of a facilitator of audio content, your favorite podcasts should have these uploaded, usually about a day after we do it live on YouTube. iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, SoundCloud, left, right, and center, you name it, should be there. So check that out. And if you're watching live, the call-in lines are open. We'll get to the lines in a moment, but it's 323-642-1618. Don't leave yourself to the very end of the show because that's how you get dropped, unfortunately. There's usually a big pilot by then. So we're kicking off today on when she plays a victim card, that victim mentality sort of thing. There's a couple of email images you sent me, Sean, and I'm just going to the page here. I'll just read them out, and then you can kind of go a little deeper into your assessment. So the first one's from this Dr. Sarah Rich, who says, "Please address me as Dr. Rich or Professor Rich. Sexist titles referring to my hypothetical marital status are inappropriate for the classroom and belittle my professional achievements. If
Yeah.
addressed using any of them, I will not respond."
And she posted this on Twitter. She was asking for feedback on whether this was a reasonable thing to put on her syllabus. And a lot of her friends said, yeah, you go, girl.
Wow. And then there was another one that you linked to me. I don't know who this is because the description is blurred out. I don't know if you know who it is, but it's just kind of the face of this woman here with some books in the background. But she says, "I think a lot about how throughout history, male scientists had wives to tend to their house, chores, and children, leaving them to focus wholly on their science. What an advantage that privilege must have been." What's your assessment of those?
Indeed. What, I'm sorry, what was the question?
What's your assessment of those two projections?
Well,
Probably
I like I like this first one, Dr. Sarah Rich. I looked her up, and she's actually an interesting lady. I thought based on this paragraph that she was going to put on her syllabus that she'd be a gender studies professor, but she actually goes around and looks up shipwrecks and excavates them. So that's kind of an interesting thing. But she's clearly just consumed with this ideology. I was thinking about ideology and what's bad about ideology. I don't think there's anything bad about ideology. I have an ideology, like a little piece of my ideology is that I highly prize individual rights and freedoms. But I'm not an ideologue because I don't go around shoehorning that into every conversation and every opportunity and putting it on syllabuses and shaking people's hands and giving them a lecture about individual rights. I bring it up when it's appropriate, and most of the time I'm not thinking about it. Someone who's consumed with ideology, like Dr. Rich appears to be, is going to inject that everywhere. And there's three problems with this. Number one, people like that are boring as hell because they only talk about one thing and they say it over and over again, no matter what you're talking about. They just bore the shit out of me. Number two, they're working their way towards stupid because once you have a single one size answer that fits every question, you stop thinking, you stop exploring the world and seeing what other answers they might be. But number three, and this is what's relevant to what we're doing today, I think. This is something that I wrote about in the tactical guide, is that when somebody is sucked into an ideology like this, and it doesn't matter what the ideology is, when they become orthodox ideologues, they have to tell themselves this stupid story about the world. And the stupid story is that there's bad guys over there and they're trying to oppress us and we're the good guys. And it doesn't matter if you're a feminist. It doesn't matter if you're a dyed in the wool red pill guy. You still have this us versus them mentality. It doesn't matter where you're coming from in your ideology. It's this ridiculous story. And the part that I wrote about in the tactical guide is that when you bring someone like that into your life and they see the world divided up into oppressors and victims, and of course they're going to be the victims because nobody wants to be the oppressor, right? Because that's evil. So when they consider themselves victims, and when their oppressor group looks like us, old whitey, or any guy, any man, if that's the oppressor group, well, guess what's going to happen in that relationship? You're going to become the oppressor. You're going to become the person that she thinks is the enemy. And this is a bad thing to base a relationship on.
Certainly a bad way to kick it off. There was another article that we swapped back and forth last week too. Title of this one said, "Dodgeball is a tool of oppression used to dehumanize others researchers argue. These are Canadian researchers, by the way. And the origin
Yeah.
of this piece was, where do we find a little soundbite here? One of Jim's class's most common games is being used as a tool of oppression, according to a team of Canadian researchers. When you're setting up the environment for students to learn and you introduce the idea that it's okay to slam a ball at whoever you like, even with a softball, the intention is there, says Joy Butler, the professor of curriculum development at the University of BC. I know you read this last week. Can you just refresh us on what that was all about? I'll post a link to that in the chat too if you guys are watching live.
Yes. I have some thoughts on how this made its way to the public. I don't think things like this are supposed to make their way to the public. I think they're supposed to flow quietly down the channels of education so that they can be imposed in the classroom. Because, all right, so let's back up a little bit. She's saying that this group of researchers is saying that dodgeball leads to exploitation and marginalization and powerlessness and cultural imperialism and violence. I'm reading this from the article. I'm not throwing these words out there. This is all the just silly language of social justice warriors. And I don't know, Rich, did you play dodgeball in grade school?
Yeah, but we called it murder ball. I don't know why they call it now. It's kind of like a softer, more snowflakey way to describe it. But we called it murder ball in school. And there was another game that we played called British Bulldog in Scouts, where you'd have one team on one side and one on the other, and you basically just charge the crap out of each other until somebody would fall.
I've never heard the phrase murder ball. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, murder ball was a far better name for it, in my opinion. Maybe it was a Canadian thing. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it is. But interesting thing about dodgeball, I loved it. I hated school. Like lunch and dodgeball were the two things that I looked forward to that I could excel at. But what's interesting about dodgeball is that you learn some tactics and you learn how to not make yourself a target. That's why we call it dodgeball, because you're not just trying to get the other team, but you're also learning how to not get got. And since this presentation has made it out into the public, these researchers have been mocked mercilessly. So ironically, they should have played more dodgeball so that they would know how to not make themselves targets.
Yeah. Well, they got murdered in social media by putting that one out, no doubt. That's why we call it murder ball, because you just wanted to nail the other guy, right?
Yeah. So this is part of that manufactured outrage that you and I were talking about after last week's show.
Yeah.
Yeah, the manufactured outrage where you're going around and you're looking to find problems in normal, healthy things. And so guys getting into relationships, I don't know that guys really appreciate how dangerous this are, because I don't know about you, Rich, but I meet so many guys who fall into relationships with women who have a victim mentality. And I have never seen it not come back to bite them.
Yeah. It's a good source of energy to get me too as well, right? Okay, so we've got some calls in the line. I'll get to you guys in just 1 second. Again, the dial-in number is 323-642-1618. We're taking calls all night for 90 minutes. Hang on. Let's give Adonis kind of front of the line in 1 sec. Let me just.
And I want to come back to this. I just want to make one more point on this if we got a minute. So instead of just focusing on what to avoid, like obviously you want to avoid a woman with a victim complex. And if you're a woman, you want to avoid a man with a victim complex. But so what do you look for instead? And the opposite of a victim complex is somebody who takes accountability for their life and the way they move through the world and takes care of their relationships rather than expecting their relationships to take care of them. So that's what you want to look for.
Yeah, it's taking ownership.
Yeah.
And just real quick, I just want to acknowledge new member Barath TB_IE. I don't know how to pronounce that, so I just read it out. But thanks for joining. The chat is open to members, so if you want to hop in the chat and contribute, it's like $4.99 a month or something like that. The join button there. Some of it goes to YouTube, some of it goes to the channel to help create this content. So again, thanks guys for your support. We'll get to the calls in 1 second. I'm going to unmute you, Adonis. I'm going to get you to the front of the line just because you're part of the community. So just hit the unmute button there and go ahead and pose your question, brother.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're on, man.
Well, I guess what Rich is talking about is my situation. I was recently red pilled. My wife and I are separated. She moved out, gave me like 5 weeks notice. Then now we're in our separate locations. There's some history here. with her not valuing me or the relationship. I think I have like a Captain Savaho complex, but so my question is how do you determine whether I guess I'm sorry, I'm being all long-winded about it. So tomorrow I have my first couples therapy session with my ex-wife or what have you. How do you determine if it's worth staying or not? And maintaining your frame. I don't know if that's
kind of a loaded question. I got a little more understanding than what Sean does on this one because we had a call for an hour the other day.
Should I give him background on it, or?
Yeah, let me just summarize it for Sean. So he's kind of evaluating the relationship. They're living under separate roofs right now. She chose to bounce on him. He's kind of hung up on her. They have a kid together. You've got 2 kids, so you get 2 separate baby moms. And you're contemplating whether or not the juice is worth the squeeze, like working through it. This is kind of a longer one, right? Like, this could take like 10 or 15 minutes to even get into all the background basic stuff. But if you could, like Too Long Didn't Read, sort of summarize it for you, and we could wave a magic wand to kind of solve this problem, how would you describe it to Sean? Let me just put it that way.
If I could wave a magic wand, basically I would know whether she's a fly or die kind of woman, if she's sticking with me for the right reasons. Or is it like, I basically want to know why she did this separation. Did she do it to wake me up and, to motivate me to like improve myself? Or did she do it for other reasons that I don't know yet, like that she doesn't value? Like, is this worth going back to?
Let's do this. Let's turn it to more of a test, because I mean, Sean wrote the book on it with a tactical guide to kind of like vet through the good versus the bad. So in the environment where they're living under separate roof, Sean, he's got a young child with her. He's contemplating returning to the relationship. What are some tests that he might want to consider in the vetting process of maybe rekindling this, if that makes sense?
Well, does she have the basic qualities? Is she mature? Is she mentally stable? Is she clear in her communications? She got that going for her.
I'd also add, is she working on herself? Is she taking ownership?
I don't know yet. We won't know. Well, she seems to be working on herself. I won't know yet until we go through our therapy session. She kind of hesitates to communicate with me until after the first therapy session.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, she says.
Do you have any advice for him going through therapy? I mean, doing the work that you do. This is going to be your first session?
Yes, it is.
Is it with a psychologist or a social worker or what?
A licensed couples therapist.
Okay. Who chose this person?
I had a colleague recommend it.
Okay. Male or female? The therapist.
Female therapist.
Okay. So yeah, to answer Rich's question, you want to make sure that she's focusing on patterns and not getting sucked into who's right and who's wrong and what she thinks you should do. That's how you spot an amateur, and there's a lot of amateurs out there. So she needs to be impartial, focused on the pattern and not taking sides. But yeah, in terms of where you're at, it sounds like, all right, so if I understand this, you want to maintain the relationship, correct?
I don't know yet. Like, what's holding me, like I told Richard, if I didn't have kids, I would have bounced a long time ago. But
why?
Because if she chose to leave, fine, go have it. But now I have a child with special needs, and in my mind, I think it's worth giving it a shot. So now I could walk away knowing that I did my best. So I don't have any hesitation or.
So what's your understanding of why she walked out?
From what she says, and I talked to Rich about this, I was verbally abusive to her. but I mean, I'm alpha, so I mean, I do have to work on my communication skills, and I wasn't aware of female shit testing or anything like that. Background is my business. I closed down my gym business. I'm a chiropractor, so we had a hybrid business. So
let me back up. What does she mean by verbally abusive?
She says I always try to win all the fights, and I'm aggressive. I'm a debater. I think that's what she means.
What does she mean? So what does she mean aggressive? Does she mean shouting and screaming, or you just outmaneuver her, or what?
I basically, I outmaneuver her, and she gets frustrated because that's how I am. And in my profession, I tend to be, straightforward.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess she seems like I talk down to her.
All right. So in all the years you've been together, has she let you know that this was a problem for her?
Well, 2 years ago she started to, but she wasn't open to. She would say, "You talk down to me. I don't like the way you talk to me." But that's
Was she more specific than that?
No.
Okay. So maybe she's not a great communicator either.
Yeah.
Is there another guy in the picture?
I don't know. Okay. I thought there was. I confronted him, and I didn't think I didn't think so. I think I'm a pretty good communicator, a good reader of people. So
okay. Yeah. Well, the reason I ask is there's the reasons people give and there's the reasons people have, and sometimes they're not the same reason. So let's assume that she's being honest about the fact that she doesn't like the way the communication goes. So when you're going into this therapy session, you need to be looking at, she's going to look like the victim in all this because you're a big dude. I can tell you're a little bit built. You've got a deep voice. Like that. I can see a female therapist saying, well, you're just intimidating and you're overriding her. But if somebody was looking at the question objectively, they would be asking, okay, well, what did she contribute to this? Well, it's been how many years you've been together and you've not been able to articulate exactly what it is that you don't like about the way he communicates. Well, maybe there's a little bit of a deficit going on there. So the thing that I worry about with you going into this therapy is that you're going to be pilloried. You're going to walk out the bad guy. And if that starts to happen, point it out once. And if it continues, find another therapist. But I guess I'm really curious. Do the reasons she gives match the reasons that she really has? And that should also be the therapist's question.
That's a great question. And I was really poking at him when we were talking, like, okay, this verbal abuse, like, what are we talking about here? Like, let's try to get some clarity around that. And there's nothing that I heard that was verbally abusive. It's just,
so no name calling, no shouting, no backing her into a corner and lecturing down at her. None of that.
No cops showing up, no neighbors banging on the wall, quiet down.
Okay.
Like
none of that.
Just,
I mean,
know how to
shouting, and stuff, but
okay. So she doesn't like the way things are breaking down in your arguments. And that's fair, but half the responsibility is on her. And so that's where the therapy needs to start.
Yeah. So big thing on this, man, is you want to look for signs of her taking ownership and willing to do some work on this too, right? I mean, like, I know you really want to do the work, and I know you don't want to have, 2 separate baby mamas in 2 different homes, and the stress that comes around that. You want to be involved, and she's hot and all that sort of stuff, but you have to really look for signs of her taking ownership for where she's at and what she brought to the table too. And she's not willing to do that. I mean, Sean told you straight up, right?
Yeah. Appreciate that, Sean.
Well, and so if she's not willing to take the responsibility for it yet, this might be a new idea for her. She may have never even considered the possibility that she has played a role in developing this pattern that you two have fallen into. So that doesn't mean you show her the door immediately. That means you give her a chance to sit with that. And if she can come around to taking accountability and ownership, then cool.
She has stated that she's a product of a divorced family, and she doesn't have any and that's one of the things I wish I read your book before as I was meeting her, because she doesn't have a relationship for dad. But she has verbalized that she is a product of divorce. So I don't know if that's recognizing or that.
She was also raised by her family, not her mom too, right?
Yeah, her mom pushed her off her aunts and stuff like that. Yeah. So no
masculine, male role model growing up. Mom dumped off her to aunts.
Uncles, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, she kind of struggles, in my view, based on what we went through, valuing any kind of masculinity or male input, unless it has to do with money paying the bills or rent or for special events or needs or things like that. That's when he's useful, right? Aside from that, he's not allowed to voice an opinion.
Yeah, that basically sums it up.
Yeah, well, the two of you, you've got this common interest. You say you have a special needs kid, so hopefully that gives her some impetus to try to work on her into things.
Well, there is a recent update that just happened today. Because of my connections and because of my business, and because of my special needs son, I had access to a certain type of stem cell. So I let her know that because we had to make a move really quick because this stuff isn't available. So I called her up and explained to her what was going on, and then I've been trying to limit my communication. So she said yes. I'm like, fine, good. I'm going to make it happen. And then she sent me this long text about how her and my son are lucky to have her in their life, regardless if this thing works or not. But I don't know if that's just because I provided, like Rich says, it's just a special event and I had the resources to do that. You know what I mean? It's kind of like taking one on a trip or something like that. I'm yet to see, her reaction to it or what have you. I don't know. That makes sense.
Yeah. So it sounds like a big question mark there. So I think you work with what you know, which is that she says she has a problem with the way the communication's going. So at least she can say that much. So good for her.
Yeah, man, you got your head screwed on, you got your radar on, you're scanning the horizon, you're paying attention to what happens. Just watch what happens in the therapy session and then kind of, assess from there. Shoot me a DM afterwards. Let me know how it goes and we'll catch up. But I think you know what's going on and what's what right now, yeah?
Definitely. I appreciate you guys. Thanks a lot.
All right, take care. We'll see you later. All right, we'll get to this call in just 1 second here. Let me make sure. Got nothing I got to acknowledge in the chat real quick. Rule Zero Dad, welcome, brother. A friend from Twitter. Thanks for joining the community. All right, let's go to this caller here, 410. I'm going to put you on the line. All right, 410, you are on. You have a question?
Yes. I'm Brett. I'm from Maryland. I'm 31. First of all, I just like to say thank you so much for Before the Train Wreck and the Tactical Guide to Women. It saved my life like this week.
Hey, thanks, man.
I just called off the marriage and broke up with my fiance. So like totally saved me from a lot of heartache.
Can you give us the quick Reader's Digest version on why you broke it off?
Yeah, sure. I'll give you the bullet points. So basically, I couldn't give her attention due to my work schedule. So then she went and got attention from a group of guys. And then I made some boundaries saying I didn't want her to hang out with guys or with these guys, especially unless I was there present. So then at first when we were together, she was like, all right, I understand your boundaries. But then later, like through phone and messages, she was like, we need to, see if we are right for each other, if we're right to be in marriage. So we need to take a break, like a week break, no contact, and that she would continue to respect my boundaries. Well, then that's when I found you guys, because I was like, oh crap, red flag, she's trying to take the train back. And then I got your book on Audible. And then on Saturday, I went on to Snapchat and was like, oh, let's see what because she posted this picture where she went to this wedding that she told me she wasn't going to go to because they didn't invite me because I'm too masculine or something. I don't know. But she went to that wedding. She wasn't wearing a ring. So then I was like, oh, I'm going to check up on her on Snapchat, see what she's doing. Like a few hours later, and they have this new thing on there that shows like GPS where the person is, and she was in a hotel. And later I found out that it was with one of the guys that I had said I didn't want her hanging out with. So I called everything off and broke up with her yesterday.
All because you listened to that little voice that said something's wrong here and you didn't ignore it. So good job, man.
Yeah. And I also, in your book, Amy is just like my fiance, daddy issues. And she turned, I've been with this woman for like 7 years since I got out of the Marine Corps. And we broke up one time, and she has daddy issues, and just now, 7 years later, she's turned me into all the good things I've done to her are now bad things. And I'm in her mind, I am just like her father, controlling and all this. So,
oh man. So you're out. Are you going to stay out, or are you sharing the experience?
Oh yeah.
So
she's we're gonna meet up tomorrow, and I'm gonna get the ring back, and I'm gonna focus on excellence.
Good. Okay. So this isn't a how do I get her back or should I take her back call. It's here's my experience call, right?
No.
Good. All right.
I do have one question.
Go ahead.
Though, can I ask Sean a question?
Yeah.
So
away.
Sean, in your book, it's about navigating risk. So when I was in combat, we get to this point where we accept that we're like already dead, and I'm wondering if that experience is what makes like me and my other like combat buddies like blue pilled, because it's kind of the opposite of navigating risk. And I just wondered if you had any thoughts on that. Just so I don't
have any thoughts on that. That's really interesting though. And I commented on this last week. Rich and I were chatting about it, and I see so many military guys that, they can handle themselves in the world, but they just get their asses handed to them by women. And I'm really curious about this. And so I'm starting to explore this a little bit. So your thought is that the sense of you learn to resign yourself to the possibility that you're gone. And then why do you do that? So what do you get out of making that decision?
Well, you can push through and be effective because you're already dead. So you can then not hide behind cover and shoot, move, destroy the enemy. That's how you win a firefight.
Yeah, interesting. So you give into hopelessness, and that hopelessness is actually creative for you and allows you to get unstuck.
Yeah, it might even be considered foolhardiness. I'm not sure.
Sure. Yeah. Interesting. Well, I don't have any thoughts on it, but I appreciate that insight.
Yeah, I was going to say, some of the choices that some of these guys make, these military specialists, they certainly would define as foolishness based on evaluating the landscape. Only there's no firefight with these women, right?
Yeah.
Good point.
Yeah. All right, cool, man. Yeah, thanks for calling in.
All right, yep.
Yeah, appreciate
Thanks,
you
guys.
All right, we'll get to the other callers in a second. Lines are open, 323-642-1618. Corey in the chat is asking me about my posture harness. So I know you guys have probably noticed it by now if you're watching the video. If you're listening to the podcast, I'm wearing this thing to help me sit upright. I'm doing this rally for 6 days in the RA, which is going to be like 5,000 miles. So I want to get my back straight. And whenever your shoulders kind of roll forward, you feel pressure. So that's what it's designed to do. It's not pretty, but it certainly helps keep my back straight and my shoulders sorted out. So that's what that is.
Hey man, Jordan Peterson will be proud of you standing tall with your shoulders back or whatever he says.
Yep. And I took a shower today and I washed my pee-pee as well.
Good job.
Bedroom was made, standing up straight, taking showers. Everything's all good. Jordan Peterson's my buddy now. All right. Let's go to the next caller here. We got 801. Let's throw that one on. All right. 801, you're live.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep.
All right, so this is a little off topic. I just wanted to see what you guys, I know you guys don't really hardly ever talk about anything with, I guess you could call it the red pill void. Does that
You're going to have to define what a
ring a
red
bell
pill
to you
void
about
is.
what I mean by that word?
Yeah, just define it for us.
So I feel like I'm somewhat in like a depressive state, and I feel like I pretty much just shut the world out from my life, and it seems like all the women I go through over the years, they're all pretty much just, I feel like they all end up being liars, you know, and I just feel like at this point in my life, it seems like, I know you always talk about, you know, pursuing excellence, but at the end of the day, shouldn't the long-term goal to be, you know, to build a family? But then it's like there's all these stipulations where, you know, you can't get with a single mother. You don't want to get with this girl or that girl. And it ends up being that the pool of women to choose from is so small. And then when you finally do narrow it down to find what you think is an acceptable girl, you always think, yeah, this is the one. And then 3-6 months later down the line, you find out she's just a liar, just like the rest of them. So then you end up going back to single mode. And then it's just like, what's the point in anything really? You want to pursue excellence, but for what?
Yeah. So you're
like, what's the long-term goal?
Yeah, like you're sounding black pill, right? And black pill is like hopelessness, nihilism. You know, there's no point in dispensing energy to these sorts of things. And there's things that I'm black pilled on, like, you know, trying to defeat feminism. Like that's just never going to happen, right? But I mean, as far as like the feelings that you have right now, you're just kind of like burnt out, and you're like, I mean, the whole point of the red pill is not to hate women. It's to not hate women for what they can never be to you. And I have a feeling that you're probably holding on to some old like Disney-esque, you know, fantasy that if, you know, you do the right thing and, you know, you man up, then, you know, she'll toe the line and she'll just be good and she'll never break your heart, or Kevin from sales will never take her away from you, sort of thing, right? Like, is that what you're feeling?
Well, that's funny you say that. I actually am Kevin from sales, but
okay. So then we'll use Steve from accounting then
that
in this instance.
Can you say it again? Sorry.
We'll use Steve from accounting then. So you're Kevin in sales. We'll use Steve from accounting as, you know, the bad guy. But you get my point though, right? I mean, like you're at the point where you're like, you know, what's the point in even expending any kind of energy and effort in chasing excellence if I'm just going to get burned, lied to, cheated on, you know, fill in the blank in the future, right? Like, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly. Like
Sean,
the long term, like why am I going to pursue excellence? Like put in all this work when there's nothing but shit women out there, or there's all kinds of slutty women where I'm from. It's like, I don't want to work my ass off to be some badass and to get some freaking single mom or some girl that's just going to lie or cheat or
okay. Well,
like why?
Just
I don't understand.
Got it. So just real quick before, you know, Sean jumps in, what is the point? You know, the answer to that is it's for you. It's, you know, if you're lifting weights to develop a strong masculine physique, it's for you. Like lean body mass is good for you. It delays the onset of things like Alzheimer's and all kinds of age-related diseases. If you're making money, it's for you. It's not for chicks, right? You know, so that's the point of chasing excellence. Like it's not to get women. I mean, having a good woman in your life or women in your life, if that's what you choose, should be a byproduct of chasing excellence, but it should not be the goal. Sean, go ahead.
Yeah, there's a version of this in behaviorism where people try to trick themselves out of anxiety by doing essentially what you're doing. So let me back up. Rich and I both have the same mantra on pursuing excellence and not chasing women. And if you're doing this thing where you're pursuing excellence so that you can be attracted to women, you are essentially chasing women and you're not really chasing excellence. So I'm right there with Rich. You do this for yourself. Now, how old are you?
37.
37, and you're getting awfully hopeless. So how's life going for you? Like, how's the job? How's the physique? How's money situation? What's going on?
Kevin from sales, man. It's Kevin from sales. We actually have Kevin from sales on tonight. It's got to be
You
awesome.
guys got him right here.
This has never happened before.
It's funny because this is, you better document this. So, but yeah, like I feel like, well, I've been a bodybuilder for 15 years. I've got the best physique in the gym, almost every gym I ever go to. So I've got that figured out. Okay. Getting kind of bored with that. Finances are fine. I spoke with you about a month ago. I called in, and I was the one that was starting a car dealership. I don't know if you remember that.
Oh yeah.
So I've got my business, and I had my old lady snooping through my wallet, taking 20s here and there. But so yeah, I've got my business is starting. I keep getting motivation and going hard at it, and then I just kind of burn out really quick. I'm like, what's the point? Like I just don't feel. I feel like I've had all the nice cars, I've had all the nice houses, I've had the hottest girl. Even now, I can still get girls 10 years younger than me. They're the prettiest around, and I'm not really into it anymore. It just nothing really excites me. I feel like I feel like I've already kind of done everything. I don't have any kids. I don't know if that's
do you want to have
missing
kids?
piece to my life. Like,
well,
sometimes I feel like I do, but
yeah, I mean, like some guys will find that they think it's a missing piece, and then when it happens, they're like, well, that's a lot different than what I expected. Like, why do you feel so burnt out? Like, why do you feel so hopeless? Is it because the ROI is not there? Like you're doing the work and you're going through the vetting process and you find a great, or what you think is a great girl or the good girl sort of thing. And then 3-6 months later, you find out she's with Steve in accounting, or she's ripping 20s out of your wallet when you're not looking, or or she's a single mom with 3 kids and all kind of baby daddy dramas, stuff like that. Like, what do you come across that's making you feel so hopeless?
Well, I've never even really had to settle for, a woman that isn't pretty much top choice. Never had to settle for a single mom. I've always had the hottest girls, but it just doesn't really fulfill me. Nothing really fulfills me. I've had my turn at making tons of money. I had a drug addiction for a long time, so that really kind of sucked some life out of me. But now I just feel like I just don't feel like there's any satisfaction in my life, and I feel like I could do whatever I want to do,
Okay,
but I just feel like I don't really get excitement from anything.
Got it. Okay, so let me just hop in here real quick. So I had this feeling around 2014. Shit was going down in my business. I was making major sacrifices. I was the lowest paid employee in the company at one time. Made some bad choices on the dating market. Got involved for 3 years with a single mommy that was a nightmare with bratty kids and all kinds of stuff. And I get exactly what you're saying, because you're like, what is the point? You're hopeless. I've done all this work. I've built this business. The government is screwing me. Women are screwing me. Why should I keep expending energy on this sort of thing? And there's one thing that worked for me, and it was trying to find out what my purpose in life was. And you don't know what it is until you start doing shit that you really enjoy. And I started out this YouTube channel because I liked entrepreneurs and fast cars. So I figured, I've been watching Top Gear all my life. I love Jeremy Clarkson. I love, automotive journalism. I like driving fast shit. And I started interviewing my friends in their success rides. Only that wasn't my purpose, but it led me to my purpose, because what ended up happening was people were like, I really like what you're talking about. Give me some advice on, who not to date, or, stop talking about entrepreneurship, Rich. I want to hear your opinion on this dynamic between men and women on the sexual marketplace. And by that time, like, I was 42, man. I was still plugged into social conditioning that didn't work, that let me down a lot. But through the process of doing work and doing shit that I found fun, that's what'll liven you up. Like that's what'll get you going. So you don't have to, put too much emphasis or thought on, oh, well, there's nothing but sluts around me, and why date this girl when she's just going to lie to me in 6 months anyway, or boff Steve from accounting. Like, there's something missing from your life that's not lighting you up, man. Like, when you get out of bed, the same way every other person does in the world. but do you get out of bed excited? Do you leap out of bed looking forward to doing your day, to tackling, you know, those things? Because if you're not, you're doing the wrong thing, in my view, anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I hear a lot of people talking about that, but I mean, I'm doing what, I mean, I can't think of anything else I would rather do. You know, I love cars. Cars are in my blood.
Mm-hmm.
And for some reason, it still takes me a good 2 hours to get going every day, and I'm just like dragging ass every morning. I don't know. It just feels like you said, there's something major missing. And
complete the sentence for me. I lose track of time when.
I lose track of time when I am probably working out, lifting weights.
Okay. So you like lifting weights, but you just told us earlier that you've done it all and you don't really care about lifting weights. Is there something else?
Yeah,
there?
I find that, like, I guess, well, I just feel like because I'm not seeing any more gains, because I pretty much maxed my body out over the years, it's like, shit, like I'm busting my ass year after year. And
well, you're 37. That's going to start to decline too, because your endocrine system's not going to keep up, right? I mean, like, I found that by the time I was 42, I was like, you know, okay, there's no way that I'm going to get any stronger, any more muscle, or lose any more fat. In fact, for about a year, it started to go downhill. I was weak. I was tired. I couldn't lift shit. I'd go to the gym, planning to do a big, heavy chest day, and I would do like calves for like 15 minutes and leave, right? So, I mean, that's going to change over time anyway as you get older, but there's got to be something that lights you up, man. Like, you got to have something that like lights a fire into your ass that gets you excited about your day. Otherwise, what's the point? I mean, you know, stop doing shit you hate, do more shit that you love is really what it boils down to, right?
Yeah. Well, obviously you have one kid, right, Rich? Sean, do you have kids?
Yep, I got one daughter, just like Rich, and I actually got my mind is racing over here listening to you talk. So let me throw a few thoughts in. Let's start with the physical and the mental and the spiritual. So the physical side is, you sound a little depressed, and you're telling me that stuff that used to bring you joy isn't really bringing you joy anymore. And so when somebody is sounding a little depressed, the first thing we do is we rule out the physical. Go to the doctor, you get a physical, you make sure that your hormones are in shape, you make sure that your thyroid is in shape. Just get yourself checked out, and let's rule out any problems on that end. And if there's no problems on that end, then we can move to the mental and the spiritual. You asked this great question, and I heard you ask it twice. I think I heard it twice. You said, what's the point? And man, I think that's a great question, and you're not really coming up with an answer. And so Rich is giving you some great ideas. Like, you try some stuff, you go out and you experiment. There's also, we were busting on Jordan Peterson for a minute, but Jordan Peterson has this great tool out there called the future authoring. He calls it the future authoring program, where you sit down and you do some writing about where it is that your life is going and what it is that you're looking for. Because this question, what's the point? This question is going to dog you until you find some kind of answer to that. And then on the spiritual side, I'm wondering if part of what's missing is you being of service to somebody other than yourself. And I don't mean to sound like a dick about that, but I'm hearing you talk about your interest in your career, and that's all great stuff, but I'm not hearing that you're really bringing anything to other people. And is that too harsh of an assessment?
When you say bringing things to other people, do you mean, what do you mean by that? Just anything in general?
I'll give you a real good example.
I don't really
I'll give you a real
hang
good
out
example.
with anybody.
Yep. I'll give you a real good example. The first time that I knew that what I was doing was my purpose, and I'm thankful for the opportunity to have a platform to have spoken and get in a room with other people. Like, I'm proud of the work that I did at that time. But when guys were starting to tell me, like, I had a noose around my neck, or I had a gun in my mouth 3 months ago, or I talked to a facial reconstruction surgeon who shows me pictures of guys that have put guns in their mouth and blown their face off, and he has to try to reconstruct it to make them look half decent again. And they're doing it because of things that they don't understand with women or the sexual marketplace. That was chilling, man. Like, that was fucking chilling. Like, when I get an email forwarded to me telling me that, I'm a veterinarian in Mexico, and I had a syringe like loaded with tranquilizer for horses ready to off myself. And for some reason, there was a video on YouTube on somebody's computer screen 5 feet away on hypergamy, and I watched it, and I started diving down your channel, and I read books that you recommend, and you saved my life. That's fucking chilling, man. So it's going to be like taking a frying pan to the forehead. You're just going to know it when it hits you.
Yeah. Let me throw a question out. This is kind of a trite question, but I'm going to ask it. It's a little more, but let's pretend that you get hit by a bus tomorrow and you're gone, but you get to watch your eulogy. What would you want people to say about you?
I've never really thought about that. I don't know. I kind of feel like people just think I'm like kind of like a dick, really. I mean, I'm a nice guy.
You said people think you're a dick?
I don't. Yeah, I mean, I feel like I've just kind of pushed everybody out of my life because for whatever reasons, so I just, even my own family, I just feel like I have no motivation to really ever see them or my friends. So
do you have a tribe of men?
I don't know, even though I'm nice when I'm around them.
Do you have a tribe of men that you spend time with?
What?
Do you have a tribe of men that you spend time with, like a brotherhood? Like, do you have close friends?
No, I don't. Almost all my friends I got rid of because they were all either addicts or they just weren't going anywhere with their life. So I pretty much just cut everybody off.
What city do you live in?
I live in Salt Lake City, Utah.
I'm just trying to think if I know anybody in Salt Lake. I mean, I got a big community of men. There's hundreds of them. And there's got to be somebody in Salt Lake. But I mean, I know that you want like interaction, like face-to-face interaction. You just have to find your tribe, man. You should be doing shit that you love. I mean, if you like the gym, get involved with the gym. I think that one thing that you probably want to look at that you may have overlooked that might be contributing is get your blood labs done, like get a full blood panel done and see what your hormone levels are. Make sure your endocrine system's working properly. Because if something's off, I mean, if your thyroid's not working, your testosterone's too low, your estrogen's converting too high, if things are offside, then you can do things, medically to fix that. I mean, I went on TRT about a year ago and it was a game changer, man. But, I mean, rule that out first, but you've got to make some like brotherly contact. Like you got to find men that have similar interests with you and get involved with them on a regular basis. But, and then there's that purpose thing that, you got to find, like, you got to dig into it. Like you got 37 years walking the earth, man. Let's say you get another 37 if you're lucky, if things work out pretty good. And like Sean says, what do you want people to say at your eulogy? How do you want to be remembered, right?
It's interesting how this conversation, I think, started out. We were talking about women, and it seems like, Rich and I are both going in a completely different direction. Like women aren't even, that's not the issue here. The issue is spirituality and connection and your values and where you're going in life.
Yeah, I feel like because of all this red pill stuff, like I literally just feel like I've been really lucky to not have to ever have gone through the divorce machine or child support or alimony. I thank God I haven't had to go through that. But on the flip side, it's like, damn, I always, as a young kid or even up until a few years ago, I always pictured, and I see everybody getting married, followed by a divorce, of course, but I really feel like I see my friends with their children and they seem so happy, and I'm like, fuck, like.
Well, hold on a second. Don't let that fool you for
maybe I should just have a kid.
Hold on a second. Don't let that fool you for a minute. The shit you see on social media, on Instagram and Facebook, that's people's highlight reels. They don't tell you about, the 3 years of no sleep they got with the kids screaming every night. They don't tell you about the fights the kid gets in school. They don't tell you about the shitty grades. They don't tell you about their kid getting knocked up at a certain age and they got to take them to get an abortion. They don't tell you about that shit, but they'll always post the great pictures on social media to give you the highlight reel to imply that their life is perfect. So don't believe that shit for a minute. Just understand that there's a layer of, rainbows and butterflies that gets added to social media, right?
Oh yes. I don't even have social media.
Corey made a great comment here in the chat. He says, comparison is the theft of joy.
Yeah. I mean, as far as what you guys have experienced with your children, I mean, is it something that you would say every man should experience, or is it?
Oh, I love my daughter to bits. I mean, I take a bullet for her right now. Here. Yeah. I mean, like, I love her to bits. I mean, I take a bullet for her, but I'm not going to lie to you and tell you that it's been perfect and easy. I mean, I went through the divorce machine. There was a time that I almost wanted to kill myself, man. I was driving down the highway when I figured if I take off my seatbelt and just nail it and hit a concrete overpass pillar, it'd be over quick. So I did contemplate suicide at one point. It's fucking scary going through the divorce machine. There's nothing in it for you. It's all uphill and it's very challenging. So, I mean, the whole point of this broadcast, the Before the Trainwreck series that Sean and I collaborated on, was to help guys avoid making a mess out of their lives, right? By vetting situations better. And this is what we're trying to give guys the opportunity to call in and make sure that they do. So that's really the point of it. But I mean, I can't tell you that, there's a rainbow full of a pot of gold, at the end of the journey for you. You got to find that path for yourself, dude.
Yeah, and I think that if I woke up in your shoes tomorrow, I think that I would set aside the question of women and children entirely and deal with that question. What's the point? That's the question you need to be pursuing. And I think Rich and I have given you some good things. You start with the medical side, make sure everything's cool there, then start exploring that question.
All right, brother.
Okay, guys, you are awesome. Thank you so much for your help.
Thank you.
Good luck, man.
That was a good call. Thanks. Yeah, that's an interesting topic when, somebody gets really like hit with despair there, and it's like, what's the point? It's like, why do I even want to bother doing the work?
Yeah.
All right, let me just, Nelson, I'll get you in just 1 second. Let me just hit these super chats real quick. Davy says, thoughts on cold approach. Is it worth practicing? My philosophy on that is go about your life. You're working, you're chasing excellence, you're going to the gym, you're doing stuff with family, whatever. You see a cute girl at the Starbucks, say, hey, what's up? Is that the new whatever? Try to engage in a conversation. But if you're going to buy one of these cold approach PUA BS courses where you have to, or take a boot camp where you got to, harass the crap out of 75 women in a public square on a Saturday afternoon, don't do it. I mean, you're far better off investing your time and money in yourself first. Let me get the other one here from Skelton. He says, I live in Salt Lake City, might be able to help. There's guys out there. I mean, like, engage in a community. I have a men's community. Let me just grab it real quick. It's just entrepreneursincars.com/community. You can apply to get in. There's lots of guys all around the world doing awesome shit. So if you get, frustrated with your circle of influence, you can always take a look at that. I mean, I don't even want to push it because I don't really want it to grow that much, but here's a link right here. Any other thoughts on the super chat, Sean?
The cold approach one, yeah, my thought on that is if approaching women is a source of severe anxiety for you, then you might want to practice approaching women. I'm like you. I don't like the idea of harassing women and doing the PUA stuff, but I have frequently, I've given guys the homework assignment of, you're going to go out and you're just going to make women smile. And you're going to walk away. Like, see if you can get a little smile out of the check stand girl or some lady you pass on the street. You're not going to harass her. Just see if you can make a little joke, see if you can give her a little compliment, and then leave her alone. And that gives you a good experience if this is a source of anxiety for you, but you're not out there creating a bunch of bad energy in the world.
Yeah, it doesn't solve a lot of problems. I mean, I had a guy in my community about a year ago that signed up for one of these boot camps in Vegas, and he did a full weekend, and he was kind of doing his field reporting. He was going through it, and it's like, dude had to do a certain number of cold approaches. I don't know what it was. It was like 70 or 80 or something like that. And then he found this girl that he really liked. He ended up having one-itis for, and then it didn't work out at the end of the day. And it's like, saw the writing on the wall, man. Like, there's certain things that you just can't get by. Like, even Mystery Method from Neil Strauss's book ended up having one-itis for his Katja. And this is the king of cold approach, the king of game, or whatever the hell you want to call it. He ended up having one-itis because he didn't subscribe to red pill beliefs, the basic tenets that guys need to understand.
Yeah. So what is the goal of cold approach?
The goal, as far as I can understand, is get girls' numbers and sleep with them.
Okay.
Cold approach them, break through your anxiety. I totally agree with the break through your anxiety stuff. I totally agree with, make approaches. That's fine. I mean, but if you're doing 75 in an afternoon, that's stupid. If you're doing 75 in a year, totally fine. I mean, you're going about your life. You're in the bank lineup. There's a cute girl there. She's on her phone. She chuckles at something. You kind of try to break into the conversation. To me, that's cold approach. But harassing 75 girls on a Saturday afternoon, don't do it. That's my view.
Yeah.
Let's throw
Agreed.
You want to unmute yourself, Nelson?
Sure. First, I want to say you guys are awesome. And the thing is, I do agree. I did the whole PUA thing for a little while. Spinning plates theory, basically how Raul says. And then I believe somebody in one of the podcasts said, is like, I didn't learn the red pill theory. So you learn all this pickup artistry, and then which I'm in a situation right now that you guys know, Richard, that I have one-itis. So it's like the PUA stuff does not prepare you for that. I prepare you with red pill theory. So I feel sometimes that's an incomplete. And same thing, like I didn't feel it was right to, but I did it anyway. But it's like running around 75, talking to all these women, and it's like it just doesn't feel like I felt like something was missing, basically. And it wasn't until I started running into red pill theory, Roll Tomasi, yourself, these podcasts, that it's like it filled the void in the questions that I was always like wondering, what is there more, basically.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to add to that. Yeah, I totally agree with what you guys are saying.
Thanks. You had a question or?
No, just stopping by and watching you guys. That's all.
Okay, cool.
Thank you.
All right. I'm going to drop you from the live chat just because I'm going to leave it open for people that want to ask questions. But if you want to come back in later, you can always do that. So just watch the live broadcast.
Sure.
Thanks, man. There was super chat here somewhere that popped in real quick. Lost 50 pounds. SMV 5 to an 8.5. Still struggling. Why don't you call in? The call-in lines are open, guys. I got some people waiting. I'll get to you in just a sec. Call-in number is 323-642-1618. F80M3 says your take on steroids. For therapeutic use, definitely. If you're an older guy, like I'm 46 this year, I've been on TRT for just over a year. It's great. I mean, if you're a younger guy, you shouldn't really need it, but there's guys that will use it for bodybuilding reasons, which is fine as long as you're under medical supervision. I mean, you do it wrong, you're going to screw yourself up pretty bad. So you really have to know what you're doing. I mean, you're messing with something pretty powerful. Let's go to the call.
Pretty powerful and extremely intricate.
Yeah, there's just so many different rabbit holes you can go down to when it comes to dealing with the human body. I mean, I see people abuse it all the time in the gym. Like I see women on steroids at the gym, and to me, they're not attractive. They got a deep masculine voice. They have masculine features. Even guys, if they use them wrong, if you got to walk through a doorway sideways because you're too wide, because you're walking around like this, right? You got to walk through a doorway sideways because you're too wide. You should probably come off it a little bit. Maybe you got bigorexia sort of thing, right?
Bigorexia.
That's what I call it. Instead of anorexia, it's bigorexia. Because you don't know when to stop. All right, 773. I'll throw you on the air. All right, you're up.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yep, loud and clear.
All right. When women use the victim card, so I'm 22 years old. And as I've taken a lot from you guys, and my red pill concept has actually been based from my own mother, which is a huge surprise, and that have led me to a lot of success in my life, only being 22 years old, which is I'm really grateful for. And right now in my life, since I was roughly young, I've been spinning plates, and currently, I'm with this woman that I'd have to say has a lot in common. However, one victim card that she always kind of uses against me, even though I hold my frame, is that in the beginning of our relationship, within the first month, I kind of gotten caught, you could say, cheating with another plate. However, she's still with me, and now it's been like over 2 years. But every now and then, maybe a month or every 2 months, she kind of like holds me down. It's like, oh, our relationship didn't have a good foundation because it started off, as me seeing multiple people. So I kind of was wondering, even though I hold my frame, I keep telling her, or apologize for what I did before, but right now this is done, and she tells me she loves me and all of that. So,
okay. Well, first thing you need to stop apologizing. Okay. First thing you need to stop apologizing. You've already apologized. That's it. You're done. You move on. You guys have been dating for the last couple of years?
Yeah, I would say like a year and 8 months.
Okay. And she's playing the victim card, or she just like when things aren't going well, she's trying to throw this in your face, like she's digging up old shit?
No, I mean like even day to day, we actually saw each other. She was after work was in the mood, and we just literally did it in the car like 20 minutes ago. However, however, she still like after like we eat out, she kind of like certain triggers, like something I might say or something she might try to remember, kind of be like, "Oh, that's not how we started out," or she kind of wants to have the mentality like a good foundation in our relationship, even though our relationship right now is really, really strong. So,
well, she's manufacturing indignation in the absence of it, right? I mean, there's nothing going wrong. You guys are seeing each other. You're having great sex. And whenever it's convenient for her, she's manufacturing some story in her head about this from the past, right? What do you think, Sean?
Yeah, I don't really have much to add to that. I mean, it sounds like exactly what you said. She's pulling up something from the past. I agree. Stop apologizing. And that's not even a red pill thing. That's just a human interaction thing. You've apologized, move on. And if she's not able or willing to move on, then move out. I mean, those are really the options. Of what, we're going to be 90 years old and she's going to be holding this over your head? That's ridiculous. So, yeah, I don't have a lot to add to that.
I mean, like yeah, I know. Whenever she does bring it up, I'm like, I don't say I apologize, but I apologize it before. We're in a much like better place with our families and all of that. However, just something like here and there, I will see like certain sadness over her just because she like remembers like how we started out.
Well, I mean, if you're engaging in the conversation, like we got to talk about frame control for a second, right? Because in every dynamic, in every conversation, and every interaction, every date, and every day, and every nightcap, whatever you want to call it, there's going to be one person entering the other person's frame. And if she's trying to pull you into her frame by manufacturing indignation in the absence of it because it's convenient for her, then you're entering her frame, right? Like that's rule number one in the Iron Rules, right? There's a long video on my channel, so go search the Iron Rules of Tomasi, and you'll find it. I was on with Rolla for like 90 minutes. So,
I have actually watched that.
Yeah. So I mean, like the first thing that I want you to do is
trip.
stop entertaining this conversation. Like stop moving into her frame, dancing around this subject. Why is it that she's manufacturing this in her head? Like, why do you think this is happening?
Yeah, that's exactly the question I had. Like, do you know why she's having trouble letting go of this?
It's not that she always tells me that she's like over it, this and that, and then a month and two flies by, and like maybe something in her social media or news feed kind of like triggers something, and then one night or one day she like calls me and is upset, and I'm just like, oh, I didn't know what's going on. And
okay, so that's on her end. She's responding to what's going on in her head rather than what's going on in her world, and that's for her to sort out.
Yeah, I do. I told her like she's kind of following like the persons I cheated on, like family members for some reason. I'm like, you should just not follow them in general.
Well, she's looking for trouble, my friend. She's she's running around looking for trouble, and if it's not there, she's going to make it up.
Yeah. So let's do a little issue spotting here. It looks like the issue is you cheated on her back then. That's not the issue, because you both said that that's behind you. The issue is she keeps bringing this up. Stay focused on the issue.
Yes, I know that.
Rollo is in the chat right now. He said wound collector, and he has a blog or an essay on pretty much everything. So I imagine if you search for rational male plus wound collector, you'll probably find something.
Yeah, well, maybe there's something going on that maybe this is how she goes through life. Maybe there's something about this that's unresolved for her. I kind of get the sense that this is how she goes through life, but that's an unfair presumption. Yeah. So I would start with a question mark. Why are you having so much trouble letting go of this?
And that's not for you to solve for her, by the way.
No, that is not for you to solve.
That's for her to deal with on her own, right?
Yeah.
And you want to look for signs of her doing the work.
Hello?
Yeah. And you want to look for signs of her doing the work on herself.
Yeah, we've been both going to the gym the past
No, I'm not talking about the
4.5
gym. I'm
months
not.
now.
Hold on a second. I'm not talking about the gym, dude. I'm talking about
And
her working on herself. What is she doing about dealing with this
yeah,
issue of
yeah,
manufacturing indignation when it's
yes, I
convenient
was
for her?
about to get that. Yeah, I was about to get to that. She's been going through therapy
Good.
through the past 2 months now,
Mm-hmm. And how's that
and the
working out?
therapist kind of like gave her SSRIs for the past 2 months, and it's not just because
No,
of
no,
that.
dude.
Going
SSRI?
through, like,
What?
family.
Antidepressants?
Correct.
No, man. You don't go on antidepressants. That's like the worst thing you can do. Who the hell is this doctor? She needs a new doctor. First of all, Sean, go ahead.
Yeah, well,
I told her that. I told her that you're stronger than this, and it's just a lot of things that come up in her life. And whenever we're like in our relationship, that's one of, like, I guess, her triggers. And
okay, hang on, stop. You're all over the board. And I find myself over here getting irritated, and I'm not angry at you. So if you sense the irritation in my voice, it has nothing to do with you. I'm irritated with this situation because, number one, you're all over the place and she's dragging you all over the place. There may be something going on that we don't know about, that the therapist knows about, that necessitates an SSRI. There are certain conditions where for a period of time, that's the right intervention. But if that's the therapist's solution to the problem that you're describing, that therapist is not doing a good job. So let's presume that there's something else going on in the therapist sees that we don't. You're getting dragged off issue over and over again, even in this conversation. The issue is she keeps bringing it up. That's the issue. She keeps bringing it up. Say it with me. She keeps bringing it up. That's the issue.
yeah, she keeps bringing it up.
Yeah, so that's for her to solve, just like Rich said.
You want to know what I hear as well? I also hear a guy that wants to play Captain Save-A-Ho a lot. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
Yeah. It's not your responsibility to solve her issues. It's your responsibility to work on you, to be a strong, virtuous man, to chase your excellence, to find your purpose in life. It is not your responsibility to fix her. It's her responsibility to fix whatever baggage she's got.
Yes, I understand.
Okay. All right, we'll leave it at that. I got a bunch of callers here I got to jump onto. Thanks for calling in, man.
Thank you.
Thanks, man. Good luck.
Men, masters at complicating their lives and justifying why they do it. All men do it to some degree. That was a good one. And I'm not saying that to be a dick. Like, I'm not trying to be disparaging, but it's like, come on, man. Like, you got it. Like, at some point, you've got to give your head a good shake and wake up.
Yeah, and waking up in this case means not getting dragged all over the place by what somebody else says is the issue, because that's not really what's going on.
But Sean, our relationship should have started on a better foundation.
Right.
So I need to bring this shit up all the time.
Yeah. We covered this a long time ago. You got to figure out why you can't get past this, and I can't help you with that.
Yeah. Real quick before we hop onto the rest of the calls, I just want to shout out to my channel sponsor, Grondike Soap Company, Tactical Soap. It is a pheromone-infused handmade soap in the United States. Give you a little bit of an edge on the sexual marketplace. It does work. And there's also a beard oil. I'm trying to move my hand around here to point to it. That over there. It's great beard oil. It's a high-quality product. There's a link pinned in the description. You check out with coupon code Cooper. You'll get 10% off. Let's grab this next caller here. All right, 505. Sorry for the wait. Let's grab this one real quick. All right, you are on.
Hey,
can
man.
you hear us okay?
Yeah, can you hear me?
You're good.
Awesome. So I'm actually kind of in a similar situation to
Hold up
the.
a second. Turn off
before
whatever
me.
audio is running in the background. Hold up, because you're going to get some feedback. You got something running in the background with the show. There's a bit of a delay, so just.
How's that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Awesome. So I kind of have a similar situation with the guy before me. I'm in a long distance relationship with my girlfriend right now. We started dating at the beginning of our senior years in college, and she moved away to go do vet school. And I'm pursuing master's at the same institution. And at the beginning of our relationship, I told her that I promised her that when I was done, with school, I'd move up to Fort Collins with her and like continue a life with her. But, you know, things are changing in life right now. And for the first time in 12 years, like I've actually had the ability to go see my dad and get back into his life because my mom and him divorced when I was super young. And, you know, I'm not sure that I can be in the life anymore. But I really like this person, and I'm going through similar things with her also where, you know, she gets really depressed at times and then gets really happy. And then she throws things in my face like, well, you told me you were going to come and, you know, have a life with me here afterwards. And I suggested it briefly one time that, you know, I don't know if that's a good idea, especially if you have to come back down to New Mexico to pay off part of your student loans that you took from New Mexico to go up to Colorado. Maybe I should get a job here. It's just this whole mess. I really like this person though. And she's the only woman ever that I've ever dated who hasn't done like profound, you know, crap. And I don't want to be a jerk. But the thing that really is like throwing me off is that she tells me over and over again, she doesn't want to be alive. And it's like, dude, I really don't want to break up with this girl and have her kill herself. And that's honestly a fear that I have. And I think we could be really good friends or whatever. Maybe that's not a good idea, but it's like all over the place. And I don't think we're going to end up in the same place.
Sean,
Yeah.
you should kick this one off because this is back to the men complicating their lives and justifying why they do it lyrics, but go ahead.
Yeah. And so obviously I can't diagnose and I wouldn't diagnose, but you've said a couple of things that really make me wonder about her mental health. And obviously you're wondering about it too. So you said that she's happy and then she's sad. What do you mean? Does this happen in the course of a day, or do you see cycles that span weeks and months?
It's consistent cycles, and she can predict it too. I mean, she'll tell me, "Hey, man, like I'm getting pretty low."
Okay, so is she seeing somebody about this?
Period.
Is she getting treatment?
You know, I really encouraged her, and she's gone to a counselor at school for like 3 weeks, and then she said, "I hate that counselor. I'm not going back." And it's
okay.
Like,
good. So is she going to pick up somebody else?
It stays in perpetuity.
Can I just quickly ask why she hated that counselor?
She wouldn't tell me. But that seems to be a common theme. I've asked her, you know, have you gone to see a counselor? You know, have you resolved other issues in her life? I know she has issues with her mom and her issues with her dad. I mean, her mom put men before her kids. Like actually one of the stepfathers tried to see her naked. And when she told her mom about it, her mom totally didn't believe her and like almost kicked her out of the house and was like, don't you lie like that. And she's like, I'm not lying. Like, so caller,
she's
profound
got some
issues.
Yeah, she's got some really interesting stories about being a victim, huh?
Well, I mean, and every girl that I've dated before has played the victim card, but this is the first one. Maybe this is me being naive, but this is the first one that I can tell that is legitimately the victim. Like all the stories that she's told me have checked out, and it's like I don't know what to do in this case.
So she sounds like, I'm going to throw out the possibility that she's got some untreated, rather serious mental health issues. And so you're feeling like you're in this corner where if you break up with her, that'll be the thing that pushes her over the edge. So, you know, what do you do with that? I guess your options are that you urge her to get into therapy and do it seriously and you break up with her, or she doesn't do it and you break up with her. But I mean, what are your options? Are you going to stay with this woman because you're afraid that she's going to hurt herself if you leave?
Well, no, and I don't want to do that. And I want to leave myself open to the possibility of, you know, pursuing excellence like Rich talks about. And that's actually, I just watched his video on what's missing from the manosphere. And, you know, I thought his commentary was 100% spot on. Is all these hacks are talking, but not producing. And I'm to the point where I can start producing. And I think I want to go and do other things, but, you know, I don't think she's going to be cool with it. And I'm afraid that she's going to really go off the deep end.
Let me ask you a question. Is this long distance relationship that you have, is this an anchor or is this a sail? An anchor holds you back. A sail pushes you along. Is this relationship an anchor or a sail in your life?
It's like 50-50.
Ah, bullshit. You're lying.
I'm
And I'm saying that in a friendly way.
Being 100% serious.
No. Weigh it out, man. Weigh it out. What does this girl bring to the table? This long distance relationship. She's hot and cold, which is like classic borderline personality disorder, threatening to commit suicide, classic borderline personality disorder. Got a great, list of, victim stories growing up, refuses to take any kind of therapy, doesn't disclose why she's not taking therapy. I mean, there's more red flags here than a Chinese Communist parade. I mean, and this is just after talking for 5 minutes. I mean, why are you trying to justify this? Hang on a sec. Wait.
My mom.
Let me guess. She's amazing in bed.
Well, yeah, that is true.
There you go.
But
again, another telltale sign of classic borderline personality disorder. So,
okay,
how much longer do you want to keep lying to yourself about this bullshit?
I don't want to fool myself anymore.
Well, you have your answer, my friend.
All right, fair. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Okay, see you later, man. Peace. Always validating the bad behavior.
Yeah. That's a tough one, man. That's a really difficult spot that he's in. And a lot of women, guys do it too, not to the same extent, but she's got him over a barrel. Like he's worried that she's going to hurt herself if he leaves. But what are you supposed to do? You stay with somebody forever because they're holding that threat over your head? No.
I had this girlfriend, my first girlfriend. I think I was like 20 or something like that at the time. When I broke up with her, she called me and said, "I'm calling to say goodbye." I said, "Goodbye to what? Where are you going? You're leaving to go to Mexico? You're going to take off sort of thing and leave me alone finally?" "Oh, I'm going to kill myself." And I was just like, "Oh, fuck. How the hell do you deal with this now?" Right. I mean, she had all the symptoms at the time and I didn't know it. Borderline personality disorder, hot, cold, pathological liar. You could go down the list of all the problems that were there. And it's just like, I get that you want to take responsibility for the relationship and you want to take responsibility for her life. But at some point, you have to realize that it's not your responsibility to put on the Captain Save-A-Ho hat and use all of your energy, time, and resources trying to salvage somebody that's not even willing to do the work on herself, right? She knows she has a problem. Get a therapist, work on it, right?
Yeah.
Don't get a therapist and then cancel it and manufacture some story why you can't do it. Well, I didn't like that guy. He was an asshole. Oh, why? Let's get some clarity on these are questions that you should be asking, guys.
Yeah. And, I got a small slice of a clinical picture there, and borderline's one possibility, certainly a possibility. There's other possibilities too, and none of them are great. And bottom line is she will drag him through the mud. I hope he stops sleeping with her, because if she gets knocked up, he's screwed.
Yeah. You know what my favorite is when guys start saying things like, well, is this a relationship that I can make work? Is this something that can be productive? Is this something that you should continue to invest time in? And my answer to that is always the same. You can keep throwing money down the toilet on a car that breaks down every week, is in the shop. There's always something new. There's some new part that needs to get ordered, and it's just a piece of shit. And you have to realize that there's that sunk cost fallacy, right? That whole, you keep burning the cash just to kind of keep the fire going sort of thing. That, you can walk away from these at some point. You don't have to keep doing it. There's the world is a big place. There's 8 billion people. About half of them are women. I mean, even if you take like half of 1%, you're still dealing with millions of women that could potentially be a better fit, right? You just have to get out there and do it.
And here's the tragic thing about this situation that this guy just described. I don't think we got his name, so I'm going to call him this guy. That, if she were willing to get treatment for whatever it is that's going on with her, she could actually come out the other side a much better, much stronger, much more insightful, much more capable partner than she would have otherwise been. I'm not down on dating people with mental health problems, as long as they are taking 100% ownership of whatever it is that they're struggling with and they're fixing it. It's like people who go through, people who are in substance abuse recovery, they make amazing partners because they've done this tremendously difficult work of recovering from a substance, which means you got to look at yourself really, really hard. So I'm not down on mental health issues. I'm down on dating people who will not take accountability for their mental health.
Yeah. All right, let's throw another caller on. Let's put 210 on here. All right, you're on the air. 210.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yep, loud and clear.
Can you hear me, guys?
Loud and clear.
Well, appreciate y'all's work you do. I was just calling in. You had a guy on earlier who was talking about, you know, his hormones and stuff. And I started TRT about 3 months ago, and it's been a life changer. I had my blood work done because I was post testicular cancer, and 2 years ago, and when I had my blood work done about 4 months ago, I was at 100. So I just want to come in and share my experience.
All right, yeah, there you have it. How old are you?
Yeah.
How old are you?
Well, I'm pretty young. I'm 23 right now.
Oh, okay. So you had testicular cancer. Did you lose your nuts, or did they salvage them, or what happened?
No, they took one, and the other was pretty damaged from chemo.
Yeah. Okay.
So it wasn't functioning properly. But,
yeah, that's what happens, you know, when guys' endocrine system
TRT
kind of goes downhill, right? TRT can fix that real good. You know, my friend Jay Campbell took a basketball, or he got kicked in the nuts or something like that, and his endocrine system, shut down, and TRT fixed that. So, I mean, if you ever have any of those symptoms where you're just feeling weak, tired, brain fog, you can't get anything done, the strength is low, you don't feel motivated, definitely get your blood labs checked for sure, 100%.
Yeah, I was in a dark place. You know, I was, for about those 2 years, I didn't, you know, for some reason, the urologist didn't, you know, want to do anything because it was a risk until I actually went to a hormone clinic. My doctor wouldn't have done anything. So I actually had to go to an actual clinic, and they were the ones that hooked me up and, you know, went forward. I mean, I was suicidal and everything. It was pretty bad.
All right. Well, thanks for calling in and sharing that experience, man.
You know, yeah, just wanted to share it.
All right. Catch you later. Yeah. All right. We got 8 minutes left. Let's see if we can get one or two more calls in. 250, we're going to put you on here. All right. 250, you're on.
Hey, Rich, Sean?
Yep.
Hey, Rich, Sean. Hey, Mike here from Vancouver. I could really relate to a lot of these calls tonight, but trying to stay on topic because I know you got a little limited time. I was recently verbally vomited on about, you know, the ex-wife being a victim. We don't talk regularly, usually go through lawyers, but we had the chance to talk face to face because things are getting pretty heated and closer to getting to Supreme Court. So she decided, let's talk face to face. And I was just overwhelmed based on the circumstances. I'll explain that. How she still felt like she was the victim. And basically what happened was we were together 15 years, married, had a kid, bought our first house when I was 26. Everything was great. She got her master's and had an affair with a coworker, high profile Canadian athlete. And of course that died off. Didn't last. She got the attention and that was it. And I'm just curious, like from Sean's perspective and also what you've been through, Richard, like, is this something that I would expect like to continue, or at some point, you know, I know she's on antidepressants now. Is there some time where she comes to a realization where, you know, really, if anybody was hurt, probably the child was hurt the most. But she really wasn't the victim. And I know it's just because time is limited. You said you had like 8 minutes. So I don't know if that gives you enough information to kind of chime in, but there's a lot of, you know, my family was basically her family. She didn't have any family here. And so, you know, she would throw that on me. You know, I really miss your family. I don't have any family. I don't have any support. But she kind of cornered herself, put herself in that situation. So like, it was hard for me to, you know, feel sorry for her. Do you guys have any comments or anything you can add?
Sean?
Yeah, my only comment about whether she's going to keep playing the victim card is it depends on what kind of payoff she's getting for it. And it sounds like that's a lot of out of your hands right now because she's getting payoff from her friends and her family and the legal system and so forth. So, you know, if she's discouraged from playing the victim card, maybe she'll stop. But even then, she would try really hard before she stopped.
Yeah, the problem with family law in Canada, I mean, it's pretty common in the Western world in general, like generally speaking. But the problem with it is it rewards victim card playing, right? So, I mean, she'll get a better result by playing the poor, weak, single mommy, because that's when family law becomes very useful to her, right?
Yeah, and just a quick comment too. Would you agree that, like, in that situation, there seems to be a lot more people that, like, in the circle of friends, and say, for example, if she is, maybe Sean might know, if she is seeing a professional counselor, they are, poor you are the victim. Because I know, like, around a circle of female friends, often this comes up where they kind of play into that, like, oh, poor you, like, you're doing everything, we've got everything is 50-50, but there's some things that are still unsettled, and I'm just wondering, like, if she's here, possibly she hears a lot of that, like, you are the victim, or through friends or colleagues or coworkers.
Well, yeah, that's going to be reinforced. I mean, she'll be encouraged to use that facility because it's so powerful, right? I mean, why be a strong, independent woman when you could be the victim and leverage the full power of family law and extract resources from you, right? It definitely plays to her advantage. So, I mean, this is something that we don't talk, like a ton about in the vetting process, but the importance of the victim card is this significant, because if she uses it right now, before you're living together, before you wife her up or anything like that, you can expect her to go DEFCON 5 with the victim, with the victim card if you get divorced, right? Like, this is where you get false domestic violence claims, that the guys have to deal with. This is where you get all of those things that, like, pile up that can be very problematic. But I mean, you're kind of dealing with after the train wreck right now. It's like, okay, how do I deal with this victim mentality mindset?
We've gone through the whole divorce template, all the usual template stuff that comes up from the female lawyer side or whatever. Okay, I'll let you take another call, but really quick here. Would it be, you know what? I'll just let you take another call. Thanks,
Okay.
Rich.
Thanks, man. Take care.
All right, good luck, man.
Okay, bye.
Yeah.
Bye.
We don't actually have time for any more calls, so I'm going to have to get the rest of the lines right now. But thanks for calling, and those of you that did. Do you have any final closing thoughts on that guy? Like, somebody that's going through the divorce machine, wife's playing the victim card. Is there anything he can do to encourage her to take more ownership, more responsibility, and not leverage family law?
He's pissing against the tide. I mean, the legal system is encouraging her. Like, I'm not going to repeat what you said because you said it well. But this is why, we started with those couple of tweets at the beginning of the show where we had a couple of people that were clearly telling themselves a story about the world where they were the victim. And it shows up in little kind of subtle ways that guys want to overlook. If the sex is good or she's cute or whatever, you can't overlook those signs, man. You got to be on high alert for those little warning signs.
Yeah. I mean, they do cause a lot of big train wrecks. Real quick before we wrap up, again, my co-host is Dr. Sean T. Smith. He's the author of The Tactical Guide to Women. In the description below, pinned, is a link. You guys can find us on Amazon. It's also on Audible as well. We're on every Monday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And it is available as a podcast now. Again, so a quick reminder, if you go to your favorite podcast hoster, is that even a word? Hosting platform? I don't know. iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, pretty much all of them, all the main ones anyway. You can listen to it, so download it there. Be sure to rate it too. We would appreciate that. There's a bunch of people that are watching this right now. If you have a tablet or a phone or a computer, hit the thumbs up button. I know you don't have it on a gaming console, but do us a huge favor and let YouTube know that this content matters, and they'll hopefully show it to more guys. Interesting show tonight, Sean.
Yeah, this victimhood, it's a serious problem.
Crazy. Give us a quick update before we wrap up. You got this little duck you kind of ran across.
Yeah, the duck update. So the duck update is, we can't find anything to do with this duck because everybody's, like, the people that rehab wild animals and so forth, they're all stacked up right now. So we have decided we're going to do our best to try to rehab this little guy and get her back out into the wild. And so we're researching that and kind of taking it on as a family project, and hopefully she will be a wild duck again. But man, she's getting big. She's like quadrupled in size. but she's still defenseless. I'd love to let her go now, but it's like she's got these stubby little good for nothing wings. Like I tried to give her a switchblade so she could at least defend herself. She won't even do that. So we got to hang on to her for a little while.
Yeah, follow Sean on Twitter, Iron Shink. You'll find him there. Just search for Sean T. Smith. So thanks for watching tonight, guys. We'll see you next Monday at 8 p.m., which is the 24th Eastern Standard Time. Peace.